What's going on, TheCoreofU family? It's another beautiful Friday. We hope that you're doing good. We hope that all is going well with you in your home. Welcome to another session of TheCoreofU, Community of Restoration and Enlightenment. I'm Kenneth, and this is wifey Bianca.
And we are coming at you live on IG and Facebook, from our home to yours.
No doubt. Today we wanted to talk to you about pressure. Pressure, more specifically, pressure from outside or external sources or people or groups of people, whatever it is. Pressure to be something that you're not, that you weren't called to be. I want you to think about it. There's so much pressure in this world for you to look a certain way, be a certain height, have certain skin tone, be a certain weight, dress a certain way. Pressure. All of these pressures externally. And sometimes, unfortunately, for us, we receive those pressures from our parents, from our grandparents, from family, from friends.
Unknowingly and knowingly.
Knowingly, yeah, consciously and subconsciously, right? Mm-hmm. They throw these things at you and say little subtle things, say stuff that causes you to be, or that will, if you're not careful, they will try to force their perception of you on you, to make you be something that you weren't called by God to be. And so that's what we want to talk about today, because that pressure. Jonathan McReynolds has a song and he talks about it. And I love this song. I have my sister sing it for me often about pressure. And he's just in the song, he's asking God to relieve him of the pressure to be somebody or something that he was not called by God to be. And so that's what we want to talk to you about today. What do you think about that?
I love it. I didn't know where we were going tonight. And I think what happens when you get caught up in this cycle is that there is an uncomfortableness in your spirit. You may not can put your finger right on what you call it when it happens, but there is discord inside of you, like a gnawing, because you're not in your authenticity. And you wouldn't probably be able to put those words to it right away, but eventually you're like, wait a minute, I'm not doing what I want to be doing, or I'm not where I need to be, and it's something I can control. And
that's a scary feeling. I've been there before, and I'm sure many of you have. One of the biggest things are is working on a job that you're receiving good paycheck from good benefits. Even if the environment may be great. You have all the benefits and everything is going on. So you're on this job that pays you well, not something that you just want to just walk away. But every night you go to bed, or you wake up in the morning when it's time to go to that job, or every night when you go to bed, you just you're not fulfilled. You're not fulfilled. You don't feel like you're walking in your purpose. You don't feel like, wifey, we had an incident. She was talking once this week about when we watched the movie Judas and the Black Messiah. And after that, she was like, man, Fred Hampton was doing all of these great things as part of the Black Panther Party. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie to watch, right? But he just seemed to be in his purpose, so much to the point where he was willing to die for it because he loved it so much. And we were having a conversation, and she was saying, man, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like I'm fulfilling enough. I don't feel like I'm walking in my purpose. But I had to remind her and bring her back in, because she's walking in her purpose every day, helping people in her profession that she's in. She helps those that are not as fortunate to get help or to pay for help on their own. So they do what's it called? Pro bono work for people. So and then counseling, and she's a mother to more than just our children, and a big sister to more than just her own sister. And so all of these things that we do, and what is it? When you start to walk in your purpose.
Well, you just brought up a good point. So sometimes you can't confuse a momentary emotion with not being in purpose.
Not being in purpose. Because
a momentary dissatisfaction.
Dissatisfaction. I like that. So sometimes we have those temporary moments or moments of dissatisfaction where we don't feel like we're walking in our purpose. I'm not doing what God called me to be.
So the difference is if you have consistent frustration, then that's probably a sign.
That's a sign. Versus
a moment of questioning, that's just a passing, something triggered it, whatever. But if you constantly, that feeling of frustration persists, it's time to move up, level up.
No doubt. We started this with TheCoreofU out of it really came out of some moments, some consistent moments of frustration. There was some things that we wanted to do. There was some things that God was calling us to do as a couple, as individuals first, but then when we got together, he was calling us to do it as a couple. So this is why TheCoreofU, this is how it was created. And now we're so fulfilled and we feel thrilled because we get to do this once a week. And we do it more often when we coach couples and we coach individuals, and we get to speak and talk in front of a group of people over those things that we get to do. We both walk away from that fulfilled, especially when someone comes up and later on and says, man, that conversation that you had, those things that you talked about, it hit me right where I was living in my life. I needed that. I was on the verge of giving up or letting go, and you spoke something that spoke right to me, and you let me know that I am in the right place. I am in my purpose. That makes everything that we're doing with this so beautiful.
And I guess, what would you say to someone who may feel like they're not in purpose? How would you advise them to get in flow?
So that's an excellent question. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is when you're walking in life and you're living and you see something that you would do for free, that you would do it every day, something that brings you so much joy. And then most people say, well, then, yeah, but that this job is paying me so well, I don't want to walk away from it. Sometimes your purpose, if you're able to monetize it, then there you go. If you're able, wherever there's a need in life, if you're able to fulfill that need and it brings you joy and it's something that you love doing, that's your purpose.
And I would say, because sometimes people are like, well, I really don't know. So sometimes you have to work backwards and work from what you do know. What you do know is what you don't like. Mm-hmm. So you can start there. Start with what you know is not your purpose. and I love what my husband said. He said, well, what is it that you do even when nobody's looking? When just do it because it feels good to your soul. Start taking note of that. Become the watcher of yourself. Then there's an exercise that I always advise people to do. Like sometimes you need to work backwards and start from the outcome. Like what is it that you want? But what if you don't know that? You can go where you are, take an hour, get out of your comfort zone. So now that would be like go to the park or go someplace open. You can't go anywhere really confined. And just free write for as long as you can. Like all the things you ever liked about anything you've ever done. If you were a student, if you're in a job, did you like being out in the open? Did you like setting your own schedule? Did you like being around people? Do you like talking? Do you like being with yourself? Like just write it all down. Like working in your house. Some of us know that now. Yeah. And are you
artistic? Are you a great person that can draw and create things? Are you creative? Any of those things, it's important. That's why spending quality time with yourself is so important, because then you get to learn more about you.
That's so true. That is so true. You become the watcher of yourself. And then we always say this, your village will tell you too. Your village will tell you. You can ask somebody, what do you think I'm good at?
Right.
And they'll also tell you stuff like, why aren't you already doing this?
Yeah.
I would pay you money to do that for me.
No doubt.
If you hear that, that's usually a sign that that's somewhere where your purpose lies. And don't get it twisted. Like, you can have something you're really good at, a profession, but still have a purpose outside of that. That doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be just because you're in a 9-to-5 or a trade that it prevents you or negates your purpose. You know, we all do have to, that what you can call that is your financier. That's the way you're financing that next level dream, or they work together. You might get great pleasure out of your day situation, but you know that there is something else, another yearning inside.
Yeah.
And so the pressure comes when you feel as though, because of certain decisions you've already made, or because of a direction your life has already gone, that you have to do what you've always done. Like, someone may say, oh, it's too far gone for me to go back to school, or what are people going to say if I switch roles now? Like, this is comfortable and now I'm going to move to uncomfortable. You know, what is everybody going to think?
And I think also the pressure comes from, as I was saying earlier, for those of you that just joining us today on our TheCoreofU Friday conversation, we're talking about dealing with the pressure to be something that you weren't called to be. Dealing with that pressure, and how do we deal with it, and noticing where that pressure comes from. Sometimes it comes from ourselves. Sometimes it comes from the perception of others. Sometimes it comes from the perception of what we think other people think of us, which is very scary, right? Because we're just assuming they see me as this, or they think I should be this. And there are times when they don't think that, or assume that, or anything at all, right? So all of these outside pressures, magazines and reality TV shows and movies, and all of these things have put so much pressure on people to look a certain way. If your skin isn't this, then you're not good enough. If you're not this weight, then you're not good enough. If you don't dress with this and have this designer this, then you're not good enough. You're not valuable enough. Do you feel that way
as a man? Because I know women, we often get the pressure, but do men actually? I mean, I know you can't speak for everyone, but have you felt that way in your life?
Well, I think for men, we don't get into all of that as much, but I think we most certainly get pressure from our wives, from our girlfriends, from family, sometimes from our friends.
We call that John Q.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. If you ever watched the movie John Q, she put pressure on him to take care of, to make sure to get their son right, when he was in a place in a hospital where he was going to die, and to get him, it was either a kidney or a liver. He had to get the transplant. She put a crazy amount of pressure on him. Sometimes our significant others put that kinds of pressure on us to be something, and they're asking you, and they're saying, if you have a significant other, and it could be women or men, if they're always talking about, I want this design or that, I want to drive like this. And let's say they're just always saying it and talking to their friends about it, but you're sitting there like, we don't make the money to get that, so we're going to have to make the money to get that. There's this expectation that she has, or that he has, and now who is going to be the person that helps meet that expectation? And it's most of the time going to be you. So you feel that pressure, you know what I mean? So I think men definitely feel that pressure to make a certain amount of money, to make sure they can bring in, to make sure that their significant other is comfortable.
Ken, is that, because I know we talked about, and I think you just said it, which is beautifully, that you have to even watch your conversation, because you can put that kind of feeling out there without even realizing you're doing it. It's just always being in want versus being appreciative of what you have, or, always talking about something that doesn't appear to be where you are now. Somebody's going to feel like, well, wait, am I inadequate because we don't have that? Or, if you said, oh, I need a quick meal every night, or so-and-so's wife cooks every night.
Yeah, see, those little subtle things. Yeah, such and such wife cooks all the time. It'd be nice if I had them. If you just saying that and talking, it'd be nice if I had that kind of meal, or it'd be nice if somebody cooked for me. And you're throwing this subtle pressure out. You have to be careful. I think men sometimes do it, maybe sometimes, with If they're, I don't know, maybe if they're a person that goes to the gym and they want their wife to look a certain way like these other women, or maybe women go to the gym and want their men or their husband or boyfriend to look a certain way. You just have to be mindful of your conversation and make sure that you're not the one that's putting out this unnecessary pressure. I know for me, it never feels good to have unnecessary pressure. Now, there's responsibilities that I have. And if I'm not upholding those responsibilities, then obviously you're going to be like, hey, you know, you were supposed to do A, B, and C, and you didn't do it. So that's not really pressure. That's responsibilities. I'm talking about the unnecessary, the pressure that we get from these external sources that get in our psyche a little bit, in our mind, and sometimes cause us to do things that's a little crazy based on what our normal standards would be, right?
You really have to. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the documentary Social Dilemma. Like, you really have to be mindful of what you're intaking even on a daily basis, because you'll start to have subconscious desires that you are being programmed to have.
Yeah.
Not even understanding that we are being inundated with so many messages on standards and wealth and just all of this stuff, where I should be at a certain time. If we didn't learn anything from COVID, it should be this: do everything in your own time. Tomorrow is not promised, and just you have to make decisions for you that make sense. You can't go with the sheep mentality, because that's going to lead you in places that may not be safe for you, spiritually or naturally so. And so just, take a step back and make sure you're not getting caught up in someone else's flow. I'll tell you, for me, it happened twice in life, after college and after law school, because everybody then is out in the world moving at different paces. Some friends got married sooner. Some friends had homes faster. Everything was happening at different levels and different ways. And, you have things that happen in your life that can either propel you or set you back. And I really had to work on that spiritually, which was to ask God to just let me focus on my own lane and be happy for people, genuinely happy, but to look within and be okay wherever I was, because I never knew what someone else had to do to get what they had. I just had to be happy where I was and know, okay, this is where I'm going, this is my goal. Don't be looking at everyone else's stuff. Stay focused.
And you have to be careful. There's that saying, that old phrase, right, that keeping up with the Joneses. You really, really have to be careful, because what Danita say, everyone has different relationship expectations. What's good for one couple may not be good for me and my husband. You are absolutely right. And what you have to be careful, there's a movie about that, Keeping Up with the Joneses. And it's kind of
it's like a spoof, or like a
it's kind of a spoof one. It kind of plays on it because they go really overboard with Keeping Up with the Joneses, but it's really, really a great movie. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Because what happens in life is, if you're not careful and you're not confident and comfortable in who you are and where you are, you will begin to operate with your friends or people around you or other coworkers. You begin to operate in the spirit of competition instead of a spirit of compliment. And with our friends and with our loved ones, it's always supposed to be a spirit of compliment. When you do good, I compliment you. When I do good, you compliment me, and vice versa. And the hope is that we're operating to always be complimenting one another. But if we're not careful, we will begin to operate in the spirit of competition. So if they get, if they get the X20, then you want to get the X35. And if they get the X40, then you want to get the X60. And then after a while, and as Danita said, if this couple is over here doing this and doing that, they got this thing now what they call goals. Goals, everybody's watching social media saying goals. It's couples goals. But wifey and I, there are good things that we take from all people, right? And I can just remember, and I'm not downing them, because what's good for them was for them. I can just remember that everybody was hollering goals about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Then when some of their real and reality started coming out, people were backing away like, oh, no, wait. No, I don't want no part of that. This is why you can't compare what you're doing and what's going on in your household to other people. You can most certainly take notes. We take notes from other couples. We learn from our parents. We learn from our grandparents. We learn from cousins. We learn from people that may have just gotten together just like a short time. All of them. It was you always want to make sure you can take notes and learn. You always want to be a student of life, but don't get caught up. Right, Trezina said, right, I was one. Trust me, there were many people. You weren't the only one that were like goals. And then when the reality comes, you just don't know. If a person is a millionaire, a billionaire, it's okay to say, I would like to be rich too. I would like to have wealth. I like the way they handle themselves. It's okay to take notes. Even if you can sit at the foot of the wisdom and learn how they gain their wealth, that's fine. But be careful trying to mimic and say, I want to be like this person, because we don't know what they've done in their past, what they're doing in their present to get that. You have to really, really be careful, because they may be doing things that you're saying, in my conscience, I can't handle that.
Yeah, hopefully it goes from the external to the internal, because financial gain doesn't always equal fulfillment. And a lot of people come to the end of whatever that is, and there is no substance. So you want both. You want to make sure as you elevate, you continue to work on the inner man to keep you grounded and make that a goal too. And you'll know if you don't feel fulfilled, because it's an empty feeling. It's like a meal that keeps you hungry still. You ate and you just like, I'm not satisfied.
Right.
Something still ain't right. I mean, I've been there too.
Right.
And that's in the only way that you can avoid, well, not the only way, but the best way to avoid that is to make sure you're working with and noticing where do I really feel good? Where do I feel good when I spend my time?
And I like that, let's use that as a metaphor, a meal that you eat and you're not satisfied. You might be hungry 5 minutes from now. My grandmother is on right now. And what I loved about her cooking is, although it looked good on the outside, what really gave me the substance was the time and the preparation and the things she put on the inside. And so for all of us, although you may look good on the outside, what's really going to make you successful, what's really going to give you that strength to overcome, the mindset to overcome any adversities you have in your life, what's going to give you the mindset to overcome the outside and the external pressure is the work that you do on the inside. Like a good home cooked soul food meal, it takes time. It takes preparation. You don't just go in there and just hook it up in 20 minutes. It takes time, right? And then after it's done, you eat, and boy, it feels so good going down. It tastes good. It have you unbutton your pants because you be feeling like you're overweight. And that's how it should be in life. You should be that fulfilled that you have to take a moment and just relax and say, okay, I'm in my purpose. I'm in my place. I'm operating as the best version of myself. And this feels good to me. I want to keep this feeling and keep going in that vein.
So pressure from the outside, pressure from the inside, and staying in purpose.
No doubt. Auntie Jack said we have to feed our souls. Absolutely. That movie Soul Food was so much more than just some meal, chicken legs and stuff that they put on the table, right? That definitely, exactly. That's why it said it's made with love. Absolutely. There were so many things that needed to go on, and we cannot allow the pressures of the world and external pressures to infiltrate and then become the catalyst from how we operate on the inside. That's what I'm saying. You most certainly are going to be inspired and encouraged by outside things. You're going to learn. We're not talking about that. When you allow it to be the basis of why and how you operate, I think it's a problem if it's not authentically you. Mm-hmm. If it's not authentically you, then that can become a problem. Then
it won't keep your interest, really.
You'll start to live a life, as Wifey said, you just won't be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, that's the conversation for today. That's the challenge for you for this next week. Are you living a life of purpose? Are you allowing external things to put the type of unnecessary, I want to use these words correctly. Are you allowing external pressures to put unnecessary pressure on you to be something that you weren't called to be? Question, ask yourself, as Michael Jackson, God rest his soul, said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror and I'm asking that person that I'm looking at in the mirror to change his ways, right? Are you fulfilled in the life that you're living because you are truly operating as your authentic you? Or are you doing things, it took me a little while in life. I had to learn, I had to bump my head, I tried to mimic a few other people, and one day I woke up and said, that's not me, and then I just started to be me. You know? And it's very important that you get in relationships with people that allow you to be you. Especially if your you is not hurting and detrimental to yourself and other people, right? If you're happy and you're operating as your best version of you, and you are just adding value to the world and to the people around you and to your children and to your family and whatever you touch, you're adding value to that. You should definitely continue in that vein and don't allow people on the outside to take you away from that. That's what we're talking about today.
And don't get discouraged if you feel like, okay, oh wow, this is where I'm at. I do want to bring up that sometimes you flow in cycles. I am like that. And remember, like back in when we were young, you had like guys had a G.I. Joe phase. You have a Barbie's phase. Sometimes you just come to the end of the phase. Like whatever you were doing has served its purpose and run its course. And now you're being called into your next season. So don't ever think anything was a waste or, oh wow, I don't feel fulfilled. What am I doing? It may just be that now there's a shift and now you're being called into that next purpose, that next thing you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like I started to connect the dots and see, even my first job as a telephone surveyor, where I used to get hung up on, I'd be like, hi, this is Interviewing Services America. We get hired to call people and do surveys for them. That plays into me now. Into like, how I treat people when they call me. Just being grateful, understanding a solid dollar, work ethic, and just those days that I am feeling how I am now. I think back to my first job and how far I've come from there. And I didn't see the purpose then.
And so I like that because seasons are so important, naturally so, right? Knowing the season and knowing how to operate in that season. So I come from Michigan. I live in California now. It's really only 2 seasons in California. It's hot and then it's kind of cool, right? Some people might say it's hot, it's really, really hot, then it's just cool, right? Or whatever. Okay, if you want to make it 3. But we're, not too many of us out here in Southern California are dealing with snow. Some other people, a little north of us are or whatever. But I come from Michigan where there's 4 seasons every year, guaranteed you're going to get them. Some may be shorter, some may be longer, but the greatest thing that you can learn in that is how to operate and interact with the right way in that season. So if I got on flip-flops and a bat and a swimming towel and some swimming trunks, and it's the dead of winter, there's a good chance I'm going to catch a cold, right? I need to have a coat on. I need to be prepared and be properly equipped for the seasons that I'm in. In Cali, it's a little warmer. We don't have to necessarily deal with snow. It does get a little cooler, but you need to be able to dress. Because if I come out with a fur coat on and it's the middle of the summer, I'm going to be too hot. I might pass out. You need to know. I'm saying all that to say it's important to know what season you're in. That's what Wifey was talking about, being able to know what season you're in and to operate in the right way. When you're in that season, the greatest thing you can do, first of all, is to know, okay, wait a minute, this is my season to give. All right, cool. So now that I'm giving, I'm going to give, and I'm going to give. Don't give till it hurts, but I'm just going to give. Here you go. Here's a little bit here. Here's a little bit of there. Give. And I do that. That's where that saying comes from. You reap what you sow, right? Because if I sow it, then I'm going to get these things back. And rest assured, you may not get them back from that same direct area that you sowed or planted in, but you're going to get them back. The universe says that. Also be mindful, though, if you put negative and bad out, you're also going to get that back too. So it's important to know your season. So when we're talking about pressure, making sure that you know that you are prepared. Exactly. The 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's the 5 P's. Thanks, Yolanda, for that. The 5 P's. Some people say it different. I've heard piss poor performance or whatever, but yeah, exactly. The 5 P's.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, and sometimes life happens and you'll feel like you're being taken out of your season, but really it's a lesson. It's a gift showing up. Some of you may be in a season of caretaking, and you might have been right in the midst of launching something for you, and now you got to take care of mama or your children. You know, different things happen. I know for a while I was experiencing frustration, and my husband reminded me, he's like, we're in the season of pouring into the children's foundation. And you only have 40 seconds a day, 24 hours. So it's like if we're pouring into them now, it'll be better later. And so I had to understand, okay, I can't launch a business, raise the children, be everything at work, I had to come back and center myself. And sometimes you have to do that and know this is just temporary. This isn't forever. And I need to enjoy this. Yeah. It allowed me to say, wait a minute. I'm going to yearn for this one day. I listen, and I sit at the foot of all parents to say this season is only for a minute. Then they don't want to be bothered. So enjoy it.
Just think about that, right? Just think about the outside pressure that says, let's just check this out. The outside pressure that says when you go on a vacation, you have to capture it all on camera. So as you're capturing it all on camera and on video, which is good because you'll look back on it, but then you'll get home and realize you didn't take the time to put the camera down and really enjoy what you were recording. You're recording this great waterfall. It's amazing. You're looking back on it, but what about the time in that moment when the mist was coming out and you were just there and people might have been swimming in it? You might have gotten had an opportunity to swim in it, but you said, no, I'm going to record. Make sure that you take time to enjoy your now. Outside pressure says that we have to record everything. I got to call somebody on FaceTime so that they can see it and see that I'm having a good time. There's a time and place for all things, but make sure that you enjoy it, that you have fun. Make sure that you're not only recording your children and the things that you do, but you're actually being present. Your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever's going on, your friendships, make sure that you're actually taking time to enjoy it and being present in the moment of it, and not just doing what external pressure says to record, FaceTime it, get it on Instagram, get it on Facebook, whatever it is you got to do on Twitter, whatever it is that that we do. That external pressure has kind of programmed us to be these people that are always looking at the destination and forgetting to really enjoy the journey. That's all we're saying. You really want to take time as much as you possibly can to enjoy the journey. When you get to the destination, it will be that much better for you. You will enjoy it and appreciate it that much more when you go back and think that, wow, I really took the time to be present in the moment. So with our children, with each other as individuals, we try to take time for ourselves in certain moments here and there. And I know your children are always pulling on you, right? We got the 6 and 4-year-olds, so they don't know no better. But even then, we just enjoy one another.
Oh, even this. Everybody, the next meal you eat, I want you to make sure you take time to chew it and taste it.
Chew it and taste it.
Because that's one we miss a lot. Just take a moment and taste your food and really savor it.
In the military, we was always rushing everywhere we go. When I was in basic training, we were always rushing. They would say, eat now, taste it later. And that's kind of how you felt. They would just be stuffing it in because you only had a few minutes to get it in. Now, the one thing about it was once I learned and once I got in there, you learn that you're going to use it in the next probably hour or two, you know what I mean? Or sometimes the water that you drank the day before, you were going to use the next day. So it was important that you did that and replenish yourself and eat healthy and all that. But I think life is the same way. You know, you want to make sure that you do as much good and pour into yourself. That way that you can really enjoy not only the moment, but be prepared for what's coming tomorrow and the next days too. So that's our Core of You Friday conversation today. The title of it is Dealing with Pressure to Be Something That You Weren't Called to Be. Make sure that you're not being pressured to be something or someone that you weren't called to be. God has called you to be something special. You may even be able to monetize. Really turn it into a business, something that God has called you to do or to be. Find out. And I always say, and you heard me say it earlier, if you don't know, look around and see if there's a need to be met, and see if you have the tools and the wherewithal to meet those needs. If you do, there's a good chance that that's your calling, especially if you enjoy meeting those needs of other people.
And y'all close on this note. My grandma Velvet always said, she said, I just asked God one day, what did you put me here to do? What did you put me here to do? What's my purpose? And just wait and see what the Spirit reveals to you. And be flexible with it too. But just ask. Just ask the universe, God, the Most High, whatever you call the connection, you will get the answer, and be flexible.
And it may pull you out of your comfort zone. Be prepared. It may pull you out of something that you've been comfortable. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know, but are you really fulfilled? Have you been really fulfilled for those 15 years? Well, it pays good. That didn't answer the question. Well, there's great benefits. That didn't answer the question. But my supervisor is such a good dude. He allows me to go and come as I please. That's amazing, and that's a blessing, right? But that didn't answer the question. Are you being fulfilled? If you're being fulfilled, then stick with it, stay with it, do what you need to do. Especially if you're not hurting people or hurting yourselves or doing anything, because sometimes we think we're being fulfilled and doing things that's detrimental to our health and to our family and other ones around. But, you know, if there's a need to be met, fulfill that need. And just go. And I would say, as my former bishop, God rest his soul, would say, swing for the bleachers, man. Don't go up there just trying to bunt or just hit it to first base. Go for a home run, grand slam. Get in there and go all out. And I promise you, you may have a little ups and downs with it. But even in the downs, if you're still feeling fulfilled, that's probably your purpose. Even when things are maybe not going, you know, the way you thought or think that is, but you like, I love doing this. I'm going to keep going. Just keep at it. Don't allow the external pressure to sway you from being who and what you were called to be. We love you guys. We thank you for joining us on another Core of You Friday conversation.
You are the core. You are the community of restoration and enlightenment. We are here together. And we appreciate you. You can find us on IG, Facebook, YouTube, and our website, TheCoreofU, the COREOF And thank you for sharing this energy with us tonight.
No doubt. Please share the video. Please share it with your friends, family, people you don't know. Just share it. Please do, so as we can try to get more content out. And if you have anything that you want to see us talk about or share with you, or, you know, whatever it is, let us know. We're always willing. Yeah. Always ready.
Y'all, we need people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We only got 10 people over there.
We need some more subscriptions to our YouTube channel. TheCoreofU, YouTube.
Look, this is me standing purpose. All right, those 10, well, at least 10 people got the message. I'd rather 10 people. We'd rather be here with y'all, but hey, y'all, appreciate you so much. Really, thank you. Time is a currency, and we appreciate you.
No doubt. So as always, we hope that you have peace in your home and in your heart. We hope that you're being safe, that all is well and healthy with you and all around you. And if not, we're going to just send love, light, and energy your way, positive, that God will change it, that he will change your circumstances and make things for the better. All right? Peace out, y'all.